Okay, so I've got my crumb coated cake here. It's a 12-inch one. It's quite a whopper. And to do the explosion, it's really very simple. You just have to give it a bit of thought before you start off. So before we think about putting the top layer, in this case it's white icing over the top, I've cut out, and you can have any colour, it doesn't have to be black, but this is just to make it look like it's exploding out of a hole. I've just put a disc of black fondant on the top there. That is my one of my largest cutters, because I'm going to be, as you will have seen, going to be putting this bottle of Prosecco on the top, so I wanted it to make sure that it was big enough for that. So the next thing to do is cut a little disc of greaseproof paper, and then just place that over the top. Now you don't want to stick it or anything, it just needs to be placed over the top. And then finally, well, not finally, but you know what I mean, I've got silver here because the cake is white and silver, so to make it look like there's a layer of silver underneath, I'm just going to place that over the top of the greaseproof paper like that. So the idea is, I'm now going to put white over the top, and the idea is that when I slice into that and pull back the little explosion bits, it'll be white on the outside, silver in the middle, and then a black hole to put the Prosecco on, or whatever you want to put on there. So I'm just going to go and cover the cake. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I've got the cake covered, and now I'm going to use this X-Acto knife. You don't have to have one of these, you can just use any sharp knife. I've smoothed all around the cake, avoiding this area here, so we don't make any sort of ugly marks, but you can see where the circle of icing is under there. So what I'm going to do from the edge and to the front, this is going to be the front of my cake, so I want one of the explodey bits to be here to come forward. So I'm going to start at a funny angle. You're going to go down through the icing, and you should be able to feel when you hit the greaseproof paper or baking parchment. I can feel that. So now I've made that first slit, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move round, going from the outside just to the centre, because otherwise you pull the point. So depends how many you want. You can do them thin, you can do them slightly thicker. I like them slightly thicker. So again, go through until you can feel the baking parchment. You've got through all of the layers of icing then. So again, all the way through and into the middle. You can, I don't know whether you can hear that, but okay, so just line that up so you've got equal size pieces all the way into the middle. Just try again till you've gone all the way round and into the middle. There we are. Now this is a slightly tricky bit, and what I try and do is start with one of the pieces that's at the back, but you need to get in there and get the icing out again. So I'm just going to stick my knife in there and just try and tease the first piece up. Now, because the icing's fresh, that's got a little bit of a divot in, but you can, it's nice fresh icing, so you can smarten it up a little bit. Just going to pull that back, making sure that you leave the icing underneath. Pull that back as far as you can, and then you can work your way around the circle. Make sure the icing stays together, give that a bit of a squish, and just bend it back. You need to make sure the icing stays under there, and again just smarten the end up and pull it back, not too far, just so that you've got the exploding effect. Just go all the way round and take each one out. As I say, you can have smaller little pieces if you want to. I'm going for fewer and larger. Just bring these two out and we're done. And then all that remains is to get the baking parchment out, which is actually quite easy. It doesn't sound like it, but there we are. That's all of the explosions done. Now what I tend to do is get the very tip of my knife and just, you can cut the paper a little bit just so you can get in there, and it should come out quite easily, leaving the black. Mine's come out a little bit there. I'll just get that put back down, but if you just pull it out like that, oh dear, that's not happened before. Let's get that pushed back down underneath. I think that was because my crumb coat layer was quite dry, so the black hasn't stuck to it massively, but anyway, it has now. And there we are. So there we have, you've got a little explosion. So that's the front, and you can, as you can see, place your bottle of Prosecco on there. And what I'm going to do is also, I'm going to put a straw in, and I've got some I've got these hearts and stars that I put on wires yesterday, so they're all nice and dry. I can't put the wire straight in the cake because you're not allowed to do that, so I'm going to put a straw in just behind the Prosecco bottle so that I can just be there, so that I can then put some fondant inside the straw and then stick those in, and that'll be a nice explosion. So there, that's how we make an explosion at the top of the cake.